Hi, so if you don't know me, my name is Shay. I've been wearing crochets for about 5 years now. There's a lot of things that I have learned, some do's and some don'ts, because we want to make sure that we keep crochet braids a protective style and not a destructive style. So I made a list of those things that you need to look out for. So let's get into it. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is the amount of hair that you use, okay? So a lot of us YouTubers, of course, some of them do have a clientele, but some of us are just people who we just do our own hair, right? And we don't really do anybody else's. So you want to take that into account when you are watching a YouTuber and you want to recreate the style. So like for instance, if a YouTuber says, oh, I use 4.5 packs of hair to get this style. So naturally you would buy 5 packs, right? Sometimes you may want to get 6, and sometimes you won't even use 4.5. The reason being is because everybody is different. Everybody has a different size head. Really, honestly, just depends on you. If you're talking about a specific kind, okay, a specific kind of hair. Meaning that if a YouTuber says, well, I use 4.5 packs of hair, you may only need 3, or you may need 6. So, I mean, if you want to err on the side of caution, I would get 6 packs and then kind of go from there, because you want to make sure that you don't end up with an afro. For one thing, you don't want to use way too much hair, and then also you don't look like you're missing something too. Like you don't want it to look half crazy and thin, and where you can see your braids underneath and all this kind of stuff, all this kind of madness. So just make sure that you are using the right amount for you. If you are halfway done with your head and you got a lot of hair already, you're going to want to thin some of that out. It doesn't matter if you only use 2 packs and the YouTuber says you're supposed to use 6 packs total. It doesn't matter, okay? It's subjective. It is not written in stone. So just make sure, like, I've seen people like, oh my God, what did I do? I got this big old fro. She told me to use 4 packs. I used 4 packs. It looks like this. Can I trim it? What? You're going to have to pull some of that out, honey. You have to pull some out and you're going to have to trim that down. So it just depends. So again, just make sure that you're using the right amount for you, okay? The second thing I want to talk about is the slipping of your crochet knots, okay? Now, with the knotless method, I'm not a huge fan of it. It will slip. It just will. You can try to knot it like 3, 4. So I've seen some people even do 8 times. 8 times is a bit too much for me, but, it maybe that helps. But I'm just not a fan of knotless. I'm just not. But if you're going to do it, I would definitely knot it more than you would a regular knot. Okay. And then I will also probably use like my hairspray method, things like that to try to help. If you want to know more information on how to lock your knots, I do have a crochet tips and tricks video out there that I will link down in the description box. You can watch that after you're finished watching this one. Okay. Splitting the hair. This is honestly about preference, to be honest. Like, I split my hair, and what I mean by split is, like it comes in like chunks, right? And like chunks of hair. Most crochet braids, well, except for straight, yeah, most of them do. So anyway, what I'm saying is you would take that one individual strand and you'll split it several times depending on the style that you want. There's only one crochet hair that I actually used that I didn't split before installation, and that was the curlicone hair. I still split it at the top before installation, but the rest of my hair, I just put the whole thing in because it wasn't going nowhere. Like, that hair is so coiled and it's so kinky. I just knew it wasn't going to slip. I wasn't worried about it slipping. So, I just put it in and then I pulled it apart after installation to get my desired fullness that I wanted. But for the rest of it, deep waves, water wave, what is this? Wand curl, all those other different ones, ocean wave, all of that, I split it. And I honestly split it different times depending on where it is in my hair. Excuse me. I'm getting over the flu, you guys. I'm sorry. So what I mean by that, that was so good. What I mean by that is when I, like for instance, my perimeter braid. And if you don't know what I'm saying, or what I'm talking about, go check out my other tips and trick video, and I'll tell you, show you what the perimeter braid is, what it looks like, what it's there for, and all that stuff. But anyway, the perimeter braid that I do from ear to ear, I always split the hair about 3 times, usually 3 to 4 times around the perimeter. Why? Because I want it to be thick enough to where it's going to hide everything else if I pull it up, but I also want it to be not really, really heavy for several reasons. One being that my hair is so fine, and it is super fine in the back, and if it's too much weight on the braid, it's going to end up slipping. So I split it several times for those reasons and more. But also, like, this part here, like the back and then the sides, I don't split as much. I probably split them in half, usually. Most of the time in half. Unless there's like a big chunk, then I might do 3 times. But when I get to the top area, I slip it usually, I split it usually 3 to 4 times, just depending on the hair. But when I get to the edges, man, I split that hair. I split it probably 5 times, probably 5 or 6 times. Like, it's just going to be little hair. That helps also, like, you won't have big knots sitting right there too. It's not going to put a lot of pressure on your edges, like a lot of tension on your edges, because it's going to be small. And also, I don't knot it when I get like around the edges. I just loop it, and that's it. I do not tie it back around, pull it, and all of that. I don't do any of that when it comes to the edges. And also, it's kind of like not knotless, what is that? It's kind of like a braidless crochet in the, like right here, because I don't necessarily braid this hair like right at the edges. First of all, I leave like my baby hairs out, and then here is just kind of, the braid doesn't start to like right here. Okay, and then the rest of it is just kind of pulled up. And if I end up putting hair there, then I only use like a little bit, like I said, like 1/5 of a strand. And then I don't even knot it after that. So that's one of the reasons I still got my edges, you guys, because I don't put a lot of tension on my edges. And I don't braid my edges like most people will. So speaking of braiding, the braiding pattern is very important. I hear a lot of YouTubers say, oh, it doesn't matter about the braiding pattern, but honestly, it really does. If you plan on wearing your hair in different styles, like if you want it to be versatile, if you want it to last long, if you want to make sure that it's protecting your hair and not damaging your hair, then you want to make sure that you have a good, strong braiding pattern. I generally use the same one. However, there's different styles that I do sometimes change it up just a bit. The braiding pattern on the crochet tips and tricks video is my general braiding pattern, but if I do something different or something specific to a certain hairstyle, then I usually put that in my installation video. So just make sure you check those out. But you want to make sure in your braiding pattern that you're using braiding hair on your cornrows. That's very important. If you have thicker, coarser hair, then you might not have to use braiding hair, and actually it might actually make it bigger and look like you got a helmet on your head, so sometimes you can't do that. But for the general population, if you have medium to fine hair, you're going to definitely want to use braiding hair. It's going to help. One, is going to help to alleviate some of the tension that crochet braids put on your hair. 2, if you plan on washing your hair, when your hair is wet, especially if it's fine like mine, it will slip out of a braid like that, and it's gonna look just awful. So want to make sure that you use that braiding hair, because it's going to make sure that the tension it's going to make sure that the braid stays firm, when it's wet, when you're sweating, or when you're changing the style or whatever. So you want to make sure to do that. Also, you want to make sure that you're taking care of your hair underneath the crochet braids. What I mean by that, I mean like washing and moisturizing your actual hair. Now, if you're only going to keep the crochet braids in for 2 weeks, then okay, fine. You probably don't have to care for it as much, and you don't have to worry about trying to wash it and all of that. And most of the time I change mine a lot, probably every 2 to 3 weeks, unless I'm really, really enjoying the style. Like I'm enjoying this hair, and I'll probably keep it in a full 6 weeks, to be honest, unless something just changes. But so if you're going to keep it in, you know, for that long, if you're going to keep it in for a month, or you're going to keep it in for 6 weeks, or sometimes 8 weeks, then you want to make sure that you're caring for your hair. Like your hair could be bomb and be shiny and be cute, right? But then your hair is literally dying on the inside, okay? So you want to make sure that you're taking care of your hair. Usually what I do, I use these bottles like this. I love this. Like this has, sorry, this is olive oil in here right now. But I use them for different things. Like if I'm going to shampoo my hair, I want to make sure, like, I'll put shampoo in that bottle and I can squeeze it down in my braids. Now, of course, I would take this hair and twist it into small sections to get, you know, like easily access my scalp and my actual hair. So like I would use that to get the shampoo down in the cornrows so I can get in there really good, squeeze the conditioner in there, get that in there really good. Then I use my hose to get down, you know, in there to wash it out. And then usually while it's damp, I'll put olive oil or coconut oil or something like that in there while it's wet, because that'll seal in the moisture. For most of you guys, you probably already know that most oils is a sealant. So if your hair is dry when you put oil in, it's going to seal in the dryness. If you're going to put water in there, then it's going to seal in the water. If you use leave-in conditioner and you spray it in there and then you put the oil on top of it, then it's going to seal in the conditioner. That's basically how most oils work. So that's usually what I do. If I've washed my hair and it's already wet, then I'm going to go in with my squeeze bottle and put whatever oil I want to in there so it'll seal in that moisture. Or you can spray leave-in conditioner, you know, on the roots and stuff, and then put the oil on and it'll seal that in. So you just want to make sure that you're sealing in some kind of moisture in your hair. And then after that, you know, you can worry about the crochet hair. And all you have to do with that, you can use whatever cheap products. I wouldn't use your good stuff. You can use whatever Suave, BO5. I've seen some people use larger detergent. I wouldn't do it, you know, but people do it. But just something cheap, because all you're basically doing is just making sure you're getting the smell out of the hair, because this hair does hold smell. If you're around cigarette smoke, you're going to smell it 2 days later. That's just how this hair is. So if you go to the gym, you work out a lot, you're going to smell that 24/7 until you wash it out. So just make sure that you know, just use something cheap for this hair, but you use your good stuff on your roots. Make sure to care for your hair. Also, you want to make sure that the braids are not too tight. Of course, you're not going to braid it too tight if you're braiding your own hair, but if you're going to someone and they're braiding your hair, if it's just so tight where you're just cringing, you know, or you got to take Tylenol or something like that, it's too tight. It's no longer a protective style. Like, that's over. Like, you're just doing this for a style, and most likely when you take it down, you're going to be bald or close to it. So just make sure that it's not too tight. There is nothing wrong with telling the person who's braiding your hair, hey, no, okay, just stop them. Just stop them. Because they might not even know that they're braiding that tight. You know, if they braid a lot and, you know, it's just second nature and they're going, when they got their music on and they're going, they don't know. They can't feel you. They can't feel what you feel. So stop them. Hey, I'm going to need you to do this a little bit lighter, okay? Because it can really be damaging. Like, it can damage your follicles, not only to the point where, okay, well, your hair just breaks off and then it grows back. It can pull out follicles and really damage it, and you will have a bald spot there for the rest of your life. Okay, so just make sure. That's not just for crochet hair. Any kind of cornrows, any kind of styles, any kind of sew-ins, any of that stuff. You want to make sure it's not too tight and it's not putting tension on your hair, okay? So the length of your crochet hair also determines how long you're going to be able to wear the hair, and what kind of routines you need to do to ensure that you get the most out of your hair. You want to make sure that when you're sitting around the house, you cooking, watching TV, washing clothes, you know, whatever, you want to make sure that you're putting your hair up. Generally, my hairstyles usually come to right here. That's just usually my preference. I don't know. I'm a big girl and I just feel like big hair It's just too much for me. But so my hair is usually right here. When it comes to like Kima Ocean Wave, something like that, that it's not like big hair, then sometimes I do wear it long. But when I do, when I'm home, it's up. So you have oils and stuff that comes, you know, out of your body. You got sweat glands and, you know, dirt and oil and all that comes out of your pores. You know, you got pores everywhere and, you know, all of that. So your hair, if it's longer, is going to be rubbing up against this area here, right? And so when it does that, that's why your hair, it tends to tangle in the nape first, because it is constantly exposed to this area and is rubbing all of this. That's why it gets tangled first, and then the rest seems to follow. So if you have longer hair, it's going to happen. It's going to tangle in the back. There's really nothing that you can do about it. It's crochet hair. All you're going to do is just fix it, you know, I mean, because it's going to happen. And how you fix it, you just detangle it in the back by separating the hair and then cutting the scragglies off. That's pretty much all you do. I mean, you can add like olive oil or something like that, like a sealant, to try to help, you know, defend itself, help the hair defend itself from the oils and stuff like that. But it's, I mean, it's gonna happen. It's just inevitable. So what you do is, like I said, if you're not out, then put it up to keep it from doing that as much. Because when you do, you just chilling, you know, especially if you sitting back and it's rubbing up against, you know, the chair, and then you and all of that, it's just gonna happen. Just make sure to keep it up when you can. And then, like I said, when you're out and you take it out, I mean, take your hair down so you can go out. When you come back home, detangle it. You need to detangle it probably once a week, at least once a week. Some people do it every day. That's fine. I don't have that kind of time. I really don't. But most people do it about twice a week. Personally, I do about once a week, but you know me, I'm lazy when it comes to my hair. I be wanting to look bomb, but I ain't trying to do that much to it. Oh, and if you want to know more about how to detangle the hair, I have a revive video. I want to say it's on Freetress Go-Go Curl. That's a general rule on how you would detangle your hair for most styles, so definitely go check that video out. I'll make sure to put it in the suggested videos up in the corner up here. It'll pop up towards the end of the video. So okay, and then one of the most important things also is if you have an allergy to connectline hair. Most synthetic hair, it has a alkaline lye base coating on it, and what it does is it makes the hair heat resistant. But a lot of people have allergies to the hair. My daughter has an allergy to the hair. So what you do is you soak it in apple cider vinegar with some water, let it soak for 15 to 20 minutes. You're going to see like a film of white stuff come up. It just varies, depends. Sometimes it's just a little bit, sometimes it's a whole lot. It just depends on the company and you know how much they use, I guess, on their hair or whatever. But you soak it, then you wash it out, and then you lay it on a towel, let it dry for a couple days, and then you know you'll be fine. But what it does, if you don't do that and you're allergic to it, how you know is your hair will be on fire. Like when they install that hair, like your hair is going to be itching and you just can't stop it. It's going to be small bumps come up, you know, like around there. You can have redness in your scalp. Like it's not fun to go through it. So if that happens to you, then you know that most of this there's a good chance then that you have an allergy to the alkaline base. So like I said, try the apple cider vinegar rinse, and you shouldn't really have a problem with it after that. I haven't heard one person say that they weren't successful with doing that. So try that. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please comment below or hit me in my DMs like you usually do. But thank you guys for watching, and thank you for all your love and support. Peace and blessings.